hold little few minutes so that you can talk later. All right, so I hope you are able to see a simple drawing screen. And so to get it started, so here probably everyone is here to understand, like, so to understand, so what is DevOps, or probably in 2020, I could not say that, so people doesn't have an understanding about what is DevOps. So a couple of years back or few years back, there's a speculation like everyone has their own thoughts about DevOps, but today I think everyone is almost aware of, so what is DevOps, right? So basically, but in our way, so also want to talk about, would like to talk about what is DevOps, and or in my context, what is DevOps, or what I have seen, what is DevOps. I'll just talk about that. And so before starting about DevOps, or before getting into DevOps, you need to understand so that any role in the organization is going to any role in the organization is going to get created by the business, right? So, or let me put this way. So let's today's agenda. So agenda of today's session is going to be, let me put it at, so a point. So what is there before DevOps, or before, we just want to understand business, right? Before, so before DevOps, probably my writing is not that great, but just, so, and after that, how DevOps evolved, DevOps evolution probably. So DevOps evolution, and the tools which we are going to talk about. Tools we are talking. All right. So yeah, this is the simple agenda which we would like to have for today. And so yeah, now before coming into DevOps, we would like to understand, does any role in an organization, irrespective of any, irrespective of any role in any organization, or in any organization, a role comes into picture. Okay, so if there is a business need, definitely, right? There is a business need, then you get a job. Otherwise, you'll not get a job. You're a Linux admin, you're getting a job means because there is a need of maintaining servers, and servers is needed by the business. And you're an IT guy, so probably, so, or a DBA guy. So DBA, so there is a purpose of maintaining the database because the database is needed for the business. So like that, everything, everywhere, the business is involved, right? So without a business, you will not get a role. Okay. So now, what business actually? Which business? Okay. So which business we're talking about? There are a lot of businesses in IT, right? So we're talking about okay. So software development. We're talking about software. Okay. So development. In the software development, okay, so there are certain jobs actually which are involved. Okay, so definitely everyone would be mostly aware of those things. So one is majorly is developer. So there is a developer guy who is actually going to do the development. Okay, so and he's going to do the development, and so he makes the products basically. Okay, but he's the guy who makes end-to-end, so makes the product and go to the market and sell it and things like that. No. So in the software development, usually we'll be having another roles which is called as business analyst, B analyst. Okay. So this is the core guy actually. Okay. On the business perspective, and understand the business and grabs the opportunities and give to the development team, and the development team will make the products, and ultimately you're going to have something called as the testers. Okay, quality people you have. So without quality, you cannot sign off any product. So that doesn't make sense. Testing is a very critical phase, and so this is simply on the development perspective. Now let's say today most of the world is running on cloud, right? So we're hearing about a cloud. Okay, so cloud means everything is a web, and the applications are web applications. That's pretty simple. So today everything is on cloud. It's not actually started today. So back in 2000 itself, so most of the people, especially the Google, came up, or even Yahoo. Before Google, Yahoo you had, most of the applications they were trying to port it as web applications. Okay, applications which run on web. Either you take Yahoo Mail, or you take Yahoo Search Engine, or Yahoo Messenger. Okay, so Yahoo Groups, a lot of Yahoo products are there. And Google, you got it. Google, a lot of products, everything you see it is on Google. And you see some products actually, so earlier back in time, so I used to use some Microsoft products, especially Microsoft Office. So back in time, so how I used to use Microsoft Office, I used to, so purchase, I used to do an online purchase probably, okay, or go to a store and do the purchase probably in, so out of, out of remote locations, probably people will not have the stores and all. So they do the online purchase. And once they do the online purchase, they ship the CD and you get a CD, you put the CD and you install the software and you'll have a key, you register that and it will work. That is how it is. And later it has been evolved in such a way that the CD DVD part is being done. And so they used to give the software, try to download, you download from the internet, install it, and you purchase, you get a subscription ID, you give it and it works. But today, that is also not happening. No installations. Microsoft Office is completely on the web browser. So what all the features you can use your Microsoft Office by installing in your local system is completely now available on the web. So directly without any installation, go open the browser, you go to office365.com, you get, even you can get it free of cost. So go to Word or Excel or PowerPoint or whatever you want to choose, just choose that and you get it. Pretty cool, right? So that is where okay, so the industry has been leading so into the cloud. So I'm talking about the businesses or the development is more of web application. So now it comes to the web application. So if it is a web application, so there is some customer actually, so so some group of customers, so who would be accessing our application. So accessing our application, so that means it is hosted somewhere in our server, somewhere in some server it is being hosted. Agreed? Everyone hopefully agrees, right? So as it is being hosted somewhere on our server, so there should be some role actually, and some people actually get job in this particular area. So who are the people? So right from the scratch, if you look into, so you have data center engineers, okay, or you have network people, and after that you have some servers. So servers means you have OS admins, probably Windows, Linux, Unix, whatever it is. And after that, to host this application, you're going to have something called as middleware team you're going to have. And to monitor all these things, you will be having L1 support team, L1 support, or NOC we call it as, Network Operations Center, or GOC, Global Operations Center. People call with different names. So these are the different roles involved. Okay. So together on the software development, so these are the roles. So apart from, so again, you will be having some management roles as well. So just excluding those things, I'm talking about pure technical. So if you go in technical, these are the general roles which you see in an organization. Okay. So this is because developer is actually doing that. This is on the development. So they are doing the development. So these guys are doing the development and these guys are doing the operations. Okay, so we are just been doing this, and in order to do this actually, so the development team is actually using a mechanism, or using a I can say using a methodology, so which is called as waterfall model. They are making waterfall model. They were using a waterfall model. Using waterfall model, okay, so they are actually making the development. So this is on the development perspective. You don't need to worry about anything on that. So the developers were using a waterfall model, and this is what the roles which just came out of because of the development methodology. Okay, so and how the work used to be here. Okay, so I mean the work is going to be in waterfall model is so they are going to be the developers. Okay, so developers doing the development and hand over it to testers. Okay, and testers is going to hand over to operations team to do that. Operations involves all this particular team. Okay, so this is what the process. Okay, and this process takes okay, so months and years of time it used to take. It used to take months and years of time to get in there, to get into the operation. So the development team continuously work on the development, and testing team will take some time to do the testing, and finally goes to the operation. So this is how the cycle takes some months and years. So probably the best example is Windows operating system. Windows operating system, Windows OS is a waterfall model. Why? Because they take years to come up with a version, years to come with a major version, right? Major version. And I can say that it is until Windows XP, until Windows XP at least. Probably I'm not sure everyone is being aware of Windows XP operating system. So back in days, a decade back, but yeah. So until Windows XP majorly, and they after that they mixed it, and now they are into pure agile as well. So but yeah, if you understand the old model, so Windows OS is the waterfall model. So years they release a major version, and so again month to year, a month or to an year, so they release service pack, or in general it is a minor version. So they used to release service packs. There is no updates like today. Whatever you're getting updates, back in days there were no updates, because it's a waterfall model, and the cycle again to take it takes a long time. Okay, so they gather the requirements, understand, so they do the development, again goes to the testing team, finally goes to the operations team, things like that. Okay, it takes years of effort. Okay, so then so Windows means Microsoft has a good amount of money. Everyone can invest that much amount of time, and so whether the product gets successful or failure, they can sustain in the market. Okay, so and the problems, if you look into these, actually is, so the problems which if you see here in the waterfall model are definitely, you yourself can now tell me, so that so the problems, the first major problem would be more investment as more time for development, right? So as it is taking more time, okay, so more investment is needed. Okay, no guarantee of your success rate, no guarantee on success rate. So you are ready with your product up, so 1 or 2 years, and you come to the market, and no one want your product. There's a chance, right? So that is where these, so no success guarantee, no success guarantee. Okay, so this is what the problems with the waterfall model. Okay, so and that's where on the developers actually, it's not our bothering. So the developers actually so started looking into alternatives, which is called as agile methodology. So slowly software development started seeing problems in software development, seeing problems in waterfall model, and so started looking alternatives, and agile is most suitable for today needs. Okay, so hence agile is being adopted. All right, so in agile model, so we are getting in agile model we're actually doing the development. Now in agile model, is there anything roles changes? No, actually initially none of the role changed. The developer were there, business analyst were there, tester is there, and even on the operations prospector, you have all these people. But actually, how agile works actually, you need to understand how actually agile is actually telling to get it to work actually. So that gives you understanding. So what was the problem statement? So the problem statement of using, so operations also, so operations teams also been adopted same structure for agile as well. In agile also, so we started adopting the same structure, so Linux admin, middleware guy, so data center guy, or like these different hierarchy DBA guys. Okay, so like this different guys are there. Okay, so so the same structure has been imported or adopted basically. And now after running for so months and quarters and years, so people started seeing the problem. What is the problem? Major problem people are seeing is, so agile model, so agile tells is agile goes on a short cycles. Agile goes on agile goes on short cycle. Okay, so as it is going on short cycle, that means your cycle is going to be, okay, so your cycle of release is going to be either 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, okay, is for a release. And even so your bugs and all, your bugs and all is going to be, so it's going to be, your bugs and all is going to be daily. So your, if any bugs are there, so we'll be doing daily fixes as well. Now every 1 week or 2 weeks, 2 weeks is the more standard way people uses, and every daily some changes are coming. So that ultimately, so should go to the production environment, right? Should go to the production environment, and the customers are, so want to use these particular features whatever is being released by the customer, because so some are bugs are there, some customers are impacting. So now you need to release into the production your code, whatever is being developed. So the code should go to here, so into the servers where customers are accessing, and that environment we generally call it as prod environment. And so that particular so the code should go to the production, and that's where the delay is happening. Okay, so over a period of time, so people observe that, so here there is a too much delay in, so people observed too much delay is happening. Okay, so assuming for an example, so let's say developer taking let's say 1 day to fix a bug, then operations guys are taking, let's say as a rough example, so 2 to 3 days actually. 2 to 3 days, what is this? Something who is creating new things are actually taking less time, but who want to operate it is actually taking more time. That is a major problem statement, so people started observing. So that's where who is actually getting impacted. If that much delay is there, the end client is the one who is getting impacted. If the end client is getting impacted, and you think about your business, okay, so you cannot sustain for a long time. So that is the problem, that is a major problem. Okay, and Accenture actually as a company, so because it is a it's a consulting firm, so they came up with so three major points from one of from their and their customers research, and their customers process research, and so even on the market. So they came up with three major points actually, Accenture. So I'm talking about the points, so which has been given by Accenture back in almost 4 or 5 years back. So talking about so DevOps adoption that time, I think even more than that, probably 6-7 years. So they came up with a very three interesting points actually. So developer taking less time, I already talked about that. Developer taking less time, and operations taking more time. This is not good, not good at all. So who is making the code taking less time? So who is actually going to just operate it to certain, so do some work around that is actually taking more time? That doesn't make sense. So second thing is so Manual efforts are more by operations team. Manual efforts are more by operations team. Okay, so operations team does a lot of manual work. Okay, that is where the problem is actually with the um, that is a major problem actually causing the delay in the work. Okay, people are doing manual work, a lot of manual work. And so whereas the third one is actually, okay, is also very important one. So they have different values. They have, so teams are not aligned. Teams are not aligned as those have different values. So development team coming to the operations team and asking that, hey, I would like to do a release. I make some code changes. Can you please do the release? And the engineer will say no. Okay, that is a problem. Okay, so why he will say no? Because he has its own process. He has his own process. So the developer has to go with all the process completed. Then we'll get a release. Okay, so but the process is actually taking a lot of time, and the customer is getting impacted, and the pressure is actually on the developers, and these operations team doesn't bother about that. Okay, so even in between operations also there is a lot of conflict comes. So if there is an issue actually comes up on the server side, so the middleware guy will say that there is a problem on the server side. Server guy will say that there are no changes happen on the server. That is your application issue. It's always pinpointing issues. Okay, so there is no solution. It's all pointing to just escaping. Okay, that kind of nature was there. Back in time. Okay, this was the another major problem they have identified. The three major points they came up with. So that is the reason. Okay, so that is the reason. Okay, we need a solution for this. We definitely needed a solution. So what could be the solution we can think of here? So here, so the first point, developer taking less time, operations team taking more time, and why they are doing, ultimately because it is happening, because it is happening majorly with the manual work. Okay, so now the solution comes as is here, as is. Now what is the solution I want to impose here? So the solution for the problem, solution for the above problem statement is not go back to the waterfall model. That will not happen. Okay, so because so waterfall model is actually giving agile model is actually giving results rather than waterfall model. Okay, if you look into here, so probably you can just see I would say what I give here, waterfall model versus agile model success rate. So let's try to look into this measures. So if you look into the success rate of this, okay, so yeah, so if you look into this, so this success ratio of this particular agile model is actually 42%, whereas there are so the success model of agile model is 42%, whereas waterfall model is 26%. So do you think that so the solution going back to waterfall model will work? No. So no one so the solution is going to be not going to solution is okay, definitely not going back to waterfall. So because your business is getting succeeded from 26% to 42% you're seeing. So no one is ready to come back to waterfall model. No, that is not going to work. Then what is the alternate solution here? Okay, so that is not possible. And the solution here is, okay, use automation. So people are doing manual, let's do automation. Okay, so let's do automation. So that's where you see so many tools comes into picture in DevOps. So you see so many tools comes into picture in DevOps. All right. So yeah, so we didn't came to DevOps yet actually. So that's the reason. So use tools. So use tools to do the automation. Use tools, right? Makes sense, right? And ultimately, the next thing is going to be is so are the first 2 points are the first two problem statements of so essential points. So the first point is developer taking more time because of manual efforts. The first 2 points has been addressed by using the automation. And how about the next point? The next point is using different values. Why they are getting different values? Because those are two different teams. Put in single team. Put in single team. That's all. Okay. That means what happened now? So the team has become this way. So the DevOps team is usually going to be, or I mean generally in agile model. That if they are following the pure agile model, so then you're going to have is you're going to see the team structure as is. So you're going to have the customer. You're going to have customer. Without a customer, you'll not have. So customer will be giving inputs to BAs. BA will be there. So who is sitting with the customer or he's working with the customer basically. Developer will not directly work with the customer, but still, yeah. So BA people is the major guys who does that job, and followed by, so you'll be having, so includes project manager as well, PM, and and then and also you will be having Scrum Master. So in agile model, so Scrum Master will be there. We'll talk about in details in later sessions. So now after that, you'll be having developers. Okay, and then you'll be having testers. Testing people also will be there to test the product. Now and finally, you're going to have the engineer. Okay, so you're going to have engineers, and and this is how the team is now, all as a single team. So all these are single team now. Okay, so one single team. Now there is any pinpoint comes? Definitely no. Okay, because you're the same team. You cannot escape now. Okay, previously as it is the same team, you can go ahead and say that no, I cannot do this because so because you are reporting to some manager, you can tell to your own story, and that guy has another manager, so but now everyone is under one umbrella. Okay, so no one can escape. So now this is the guy, okay, the engineering role or the operations role which came here, so to do work with the so this guy, I mean with the development team, and this is actually called as a DevOps engineer. This engineer role is nothing but we call it as DevOps engineer, because he is working on the development operations. He's working on the development operations. So he is the DevOps guy. Okay. So being a DevOps guy, what is your roles and responsibilities? Your roles and responsibilities for me is pretty simple. Only just two. So one is okay, deliver the code to production environment. Deliver the code to production environment. And the second thing is going to be is so ensure your application is ensure your application is 100% uptime. These are the simple two roles which you have the DevOps guy does actually. Deliver the code to the production environment and ensure your application is 100% uptime. Okay, this is what we do. This is what the role of a DevOps guy. And actually, this is a little tricky again, okay, because there are different organizations, different process, and different businesses. So this is going to be slightly changed. Okay, so how it is going to how it is going to get slightly changed here is, so here how is going to happen is one more thing. Let's think about bigger organization. So let's think about our today. Okay, today development is happening on microservices, right? So everyone knows that. Today, definitely everyone would have been heard about a word called as microservices. So today, development is happening on microservices. Everyone should be agreeing on that, right? So microservices is what is happening. Now, if you go for a microservices, do you think only one single team will be there doing the development? Let's say example, for an example, Paytm. You can take, yeah, Paytm is probably, I think some other people who is out of India might not understand this. So let's go with, let's say, so Netflix as a company, okay? So they have the Netflix website, and it does has a lot of applications. So what are the lot of applications which you have? So one application deals with the content probably, okay? So one about about your subscription, okay? So one about so dealing with the user, and one with the dealing with the payment, okay? So one dealing with the notifications, one dealing with the fraud detecting system, okay? So yeah, lot of services are there, and this is done by a different team. And don't think that everything is done by one single team. No, this is done by different team, this is done by different team, this is done by different team, and this is done by different team, and this is done by different team, okay? But all together works as a single application. It's all developed by different teams. As it is a teams means, so here you have one DevOps engineer, here you have one DevOps engineer, here one or more DevOps engineer, DevOps engineer, so DevOps engineer, DevOps engineer. So these many engineers are there because different teams, they have their today to do their post development operations. They should be having their own person who would be doing that, and that is where so multiple DevOps engineers comes into picture. But this end day, actually this should together works as a platform, right? This works as a platform, okay? And it is a Netflix platform. So now who is going to win? Any development team, actually a DevOps engineer will come and say that there won't be any voting, that there is he's a leader kind of thing. Nothing, okay? That will not happen, okay? So now Netflix as a platform team, so actually so going to maintain the complete Netflix is going to have a platform which is hosting all these particular applications. Now instead of giving an complete access onto the production to an individual DevOps engineer, so there is a separate teams which actually work here, which is called as SRE, Site Reliability Engineer. So Site Reliability Engineer. So what Site Reliability Engineer does is, Site Reliability Engineer is going to do the are going to maintain is going to maintain your second point. So your role is actually going to big organizations. So in bigger organizations, your role is actually going to cut it into two parts. So one is a DevOps guy who sits on the DevOps guy who works with development team, and so SRE guy who maintains the application, means like releases and everything. This guy will take care. So that's where two roles comes into picture in bigger organizations. But ultimately SRE also knows the end-to-end process of what is happening. DevOps guy also knows what the process is happening, but they just split their roles, that's all. And that's how you see sometimes SRE, sometimes DevOps. So which one you want to choose? Basically, that is your role. Basically, you are applying for an interview. You need to understand whether you are going for a SRE role or whether you are going for a DevOps guy role. Okay, you go for a DevOps guy, you'll not probably have shifts and all. You enjoy with the developer. You go for an SRE role, you go with the shifts, rotations and things like that will be there. That again depends upon the organization. No much comment on that. So, but role, if you look into, so because of the business maintenance, because you have so many teams and so many developments is actually happening somewhere, you should be having a control, because every individual team you give access, but end of the day again pinpoints will come. Okay, just to avoid that, you will be having a SRE structure, and a SRE guy is actually going to take care. So but don't confuse, both does the same job, and both needs the complete end-to-end end-to-end of what is happening, and that's where okay, so you will see the I mean this is how the complete evolution of the DevOps guy came. Okay, so we used to have a waterfall model, and we used to have some operations team that time, that is okay, but later so developers has adopted agile methodologies. In agile methodologies, things should happen very faster because they are doing the things faster, and that's where operations also should come into faster. And to make it faster, we are not able to do that. That's where we are actually taking the adoption of tools, and even the structure of the company as well, structure of the team as well has been changed, and we'll be having an operations team now. So this is how it is happening. Okay, and ultimately, so so you're hearing about something called as you're hearing about something more about cloud as well, right? So you're hearing too much about a cloud. Yes, cloud, why you're hearing is because so today so to reduce the burden again, so we want to go with any cloud vendor and deal, so go with the cloud and just make the things on the cloud. It makes your life really easy. So that's where you're hearing about multiple clouds. You can just go for AWS. Okay, you go for Azure, and you go for Google. Okay, like that you have Alibaba. So you have so many clouds actually there. So out of that, so no doubt in that, again you can look into the market statistics. So AWS definitely standing as a leader. Okay, so I think I don't really remember the stats. So definitely, so you're hearing too much buzz about the Azure. That is fine, but it's uncomparable. So let's say if I say, so if it had 100 customers, it just had only 15 to 20 customers. That's all, percentage wise, if you look into. Okay, so that much big Amazon is, and this is okay. This is coming up, but takes a lot of years of time to so compete Amazon has big customer base on the cloud, and yeah. So, and again, the problem is you cannot shift over the night. That is a problem. So go with AWS. Let's say I've been running on AWS from 2 years, 3 years. Now all of a sudden Azure come up, and I cannot jump onto Azure. It takes years of effort again to migrate. So that's a problem. So that's where, so our syllabus, generally a cloud is also involved actually here. Okay, so coming back to here, this is what the first 2 points of agenda. So what is before DevOps, and why DevOps evolution came into picture, and actually what are the tools which we are going to talk about. Then we'll conclude it. Okay, so here and the tools which we are going to talk about is tools which we are trying to teach in this particular sessions is so we start with Linux anyhow. So we'll initially go with Linux, understanding so how to execute the Linux commands, because again we'll talk about that why Linux. So because 100% of the server market, if you look into, not 100%, at least 90% of the market, if you see, it is Linux. Windows is very less, okay, on the server areas. And so yeah, Linux is really important. So we start with Linux, and we'll understand how to set up the things in Linux, what all the different commands you have and things like that. Once we're done with that, so we'll go with a project. Okay, so we take a microservice project, and in microservices you don't expect that everything happens on the one single development technology. So that means earlier we used to are making a Java application, but end to end it has to be Java. You are taking .NET application, end to end it has to be .NET, but today it is not happening because those are cutting into pieces. Any piece can be anything. Okay, so we have an application which is having so back with the Node.js. Okay, so back with the Node.js, and it has Go programming, it has Python applications, it has Java applications. What else I'm missing? Node.js, Go, Python, Java. I think this much. Yeah, so these are the 4 technologies which we have. And along with that, we have a lot of things, so you have DBs, you have message queues, MQs, message queues. Okay, so backend components, and the front end components you'll be having is web. Okay, so we have an application, so covering all the three-layered application, 3-tier application, and more components are there. I think more than I think 9 components are there in total. So four to 5 Node.js, couple of them are Java, couple of them are Python, I think one Go. Okay, so like that, 9 components are there. Okay, I think web they have 2 components. In database, I think 2 components, and message queue. So this is what an a project application. So we'll talk about that. And so then once we have this particular manual setup, understand about the project. So project manual setup will do manual setup of project. So we'll understand how do we set up this particular project manually, and then we'll jump on to the shell scripting. Shell scripting. So here, what we're going to talk about is we talk about all the shell scripting options. Then we'll go for so application setup with. Then we'll go with application setup with. Okay, so shell scripting. All right, and after that, so we'll be jumping on to Ansible. Okay, so we'll look into the Ansible, and in Ansible, okay, again we talk about all the options inside Ansible. So we'll just talk about application setup with Ansible. Okay, so then okay, until here we are going to talk about only until here we're going to talk about only so single node architecture until now. So then here until Ansible we use single node architecture. Means all the components which you see out there, Node.js, Go, Python, Java, Web, RabbitMQs, and databases, and everything sits on the single server only. But that's not the real application how it looks like, right? So that's where we start introducing Terraform here. So we start introducing Terraform, and and we'll talk about so application distribution architecture. We talk about distributed architecture, and set up all cloud components which are needed for set up all cloud components with Terraform. So distributed architecture, and we split up the services into individual servers. We talk about high availability, scaling, load balancers, network, all these things. So come under Terraform, and everything goes as a code. This is Terraform for AWS, right? So this is AWS. Okay, so Terraform, we're dealing with AWS, so that's where we'll get a lot of talking about AWS and their services, and we'll automate that as a code with Terraform. This is what we do. Okay, and once we're done with this, and then yeah, we are ready to get into something called as CI/CD. Okay, or CI basically. First step is CI. So continuous integration we talk about. Integration. So here we talk about all the post development activities, and so here is where different tools will comes into picture, like so Jenkins is major tool, and by the time so here we already talk about we'll talk about Git repositories we already talk about in the shell scripting itself, and so we'll be using Git all the time. So Jenkins, and then let's say so then I mean again some CI tools like Maven, Node.js, all these tools are already came in the so project explanation here. Okay, so already came up here, but we'll look into little bit more options like how to do them. So like Maven, Node.js, and in the CI tool we are going to have SonarQube. We're going to have SonarQube. We're going to have Nexus. we're going to have Nexus. Okay, lot many tools are there, and we'll try to talk about those particular tools. And also, yeah, so until here, so these are the tools. And the next thing is, and the next thing we get in here is testing. I mean, we'll just use a simple testing because testing is also a part of the pipelines today. So that's where. So we'll talk about the testing as well, but we'll not okay go in depth because in depth in the sense these are different topics again altogether. So that's where Selenium. So we'll just use to test application, and so API testing also will do that. And so this is with Python probably I can write the code. Selenium I'm not aware of Java, so that's where I'll not write Selenium, but I'll just bring up some pre-written code, and on the Selenium we'll just test it out. Selenium is only for UI testing, and API testing is in the backend. Okay, so these testing phases will involve in the pipelines, and then once after you do that, so then we'll go with the deployment strategies. So deployment, which is nothing but continuous CD. Okay, in the deployment, so we are going to use Ansible to do the deployment. So you can use any tool of our choice. So, but majorly here we are going to talk about is two things. The real important things are, so we'll talk about blue-green deployment, and then rolling deployment, rolling update, deployment. These are the two important things I'm going to talk about. So blue-green and rolling update is what two things we talk about. And once after we do the CI/CD complete end-to-end CI/CD, okay, so then we will jump onto the actually talking before continuous integration itself. We talk about the importance of certain more things actually. So we'll talk about monitoring. So we talk about server monitoring. We talk about server monitoring and log aggregation both. So tools, if you look into, so the tools it is going to be is New Relic for server monitoring, and log aggregation we use ELK. Okay, and here it is going to be 7th one. Okay, 9th one, the deployment. So once after we talk about this complete end to end, we'll see that. Okay, so end to end will we do that, and so once after we do that, so probably we can jump onto the next thing, which is finally with the same thing, like again Docker plus Kubernetes we go for plus Kubernetes, and we do all the CI/CD in Kubernetes. CI/CD in Kubernetes is what we talk about. So this is the whole syllabus if you look into. Okay, like on the high level, this is how the codes goes into. Okay, so here if we look into the complete base actually will be made through Terraform. So you're going to have a lot of base on Terraform, like a platform using Terraform. So probably so on top of that you're going to have Ansible majorly, and you'll be having a lot of tools like Jenkins, you call it as, you know, a lot of what are the tools you have. So all these particular chunks are small pieces, like Ansible and Terraform are major, and Jenkins also has actually a major one, so probably we can put that way. So Jenkins connecting all this. So Jenkins will connect so many dots actually. So Jenkins integrates so many bits of pieces, and Jenkins comes major. So this is how, if you look into the blocks wise, this is how it is going to be. All right. So that's all the agenda. But before actually going with, so I would like to talk about, so what actually we delivered from this particular course. Okay. So we deliver. So the services which we offer, the services are probably, I can switch to another screen. So the services which we offer is these. Okay. So you'll get the lifetime recordings. So how you get the recordings is like this. Let me show you that. Yeah. So this is how you get the videos usually. Okay. So here, let me show you the place. Yeah, if you take the previous batch, the current one is you're going to attend is 46th batch. So 45 batch, if you see, so this is how it is going to come. Okay, session by session, session by session, you will get it in a playlist like this, and you can watch them. Okay, and it's a lifetime access. And the second thing is online content. So what is online content is so here you can just go for GitLab, like let's say report, and all the content which we actually make here, so is all going to come here. You take Terraform, you'll see thousands of lines of code actually. So go to the project. So this is all completely we have written in our course. So you can just go to EC2. So you will see a lot of lines of code, lines of code. Okay, so we just cut into pieces to make it life easier. So compiling. So we'll see so much code basically. Okay, so much code will come into picture. So like this, all the content which is needed will be shared over the web browser. And Slack support from trainer. Okay, if you have any queries, okay, so how do you, if you have any queries actually, how do you get resolved? Because it's online course, you're not directly face to face with me. And how do you resolve your issues? Okay, so we have a Slack actually. So Slack is a place where you can, let's say like a WhatsApp you can think about. So here is how it's going to be. So some people will, so not some, yeah, everyone who have questions actually they put the questions here, and I'll just answer them, and it just goes continuously. Okay, you can go with the previous chat as well, and even some people, so they talk to me continuously. Okay, so this guy is a very old student, so he talk continuously. So and at least once in a week, so something his thoughts and his questions, all these things, it's never stops actually. This chart is going to show only till July 9th 2019, but he's a back student from 2017. Okay, from then he is actually continuously chatting, because I'm using a free account of Slack. I cannot retrieve all the messages. It can be only the last 10,000 messages is what it will show. Okay, 10,000 messages including everything. Okay, all the groups and individual. Okay, so this is how you can do that, and you can put it on a group. So on the Slack you have two ways. We can keep it on the group, and some people will feel shy about talking in group, so they can ping me personally as well. Okay, so either of the way it is fine, and that is what you get it. And finally you're going to have offline workshops. So but this happens very random, not any planned in certain time. So so what we are actually trying to do here is we're going to see, I talk about a project, and I talk about a lot many end-to-end process and everything, but end of the day most of the people will have a question mark. Is Raghu talking true, or is the same thing in the real companies as well is happening? Okay, so yeah, just to avoid that particular confusion, so we have some offline workshops as well. So which you can come down, and where we project the multiple companies, so people from different companies will come, and they project their projects how it is. Well, you can just relate to what all the things you have learned, so that you can, so see the gap, like what is actually missing, and probably you can learn from that. Okay, so that's the simple services which we offer from our side. And finally, coming to the last point, so which is who can pursue this particular course. Any DBA or build release guy or middleware and system administrator, so they can go with this particular course. And the developers and QAs and BAs also can go with this particular course, because they want to know that what is happening on the operations. And probably in certain smaller organizations, if you go for, the developer is actually taking care of end to end. Okay, even testing, and so even the BA also role, also some developers will play. Okay, like that. So if you go into small organizations, your role is going to be a little bit bigger, so that's where this is going to be really helpful. And even you work for a bigger organization, so having a knowledge on what is operations is actually doing is always a good thing. So that's where so these people also can go with that. And so lately we're actually seeing so some demand for freshers as well in this particular DevOps area, so who can are really enthusiastic about this one. So freshers can go with that, and any non-technical background, whoever is coming, so that is your choice. I will not suggest. If you choose DevOps, then I can help you, and I cannot help you in choosing. Okay, so until here I can say that all these people can go with this particular course development, but others, the very last point, like whoever is coming from the non-technical, probably coming from other domain, so some people from teaching, some people from some other domain. Okay, so coming to this, so it is their purely their particular um, personal interest. I would not anyone force it, because the decision has to be theirs or yours. You choose and think that I want to go with DevOps, so then I can help you on the DevOps. I might not help on the decision. Okay, I think that's all from my side, so probably we can go for QA. So I think how much time I took, almost an hour. Yeah, decent time. So yeah, please you can unmute and talk if you have any query, or else you can put it on the chat as well, whichever comfortable for you. Okay, please. Any questions?
Hey, I posted a question online. Can you check your messages?
So you messaged me? Sorry, I missed it. Sorry.
Yes, I did.
I didn't got any. Let me check other one. Yeah, probably. Sorry, I don't see the message. Can you? Okay. Am I going to teach GitLab CI? So we are talking about Jenkins CI. So probably and also we talked about code build in Amazon as well. Okay. So as we are going with those particular things, you can relate those things in GitLab CI, and you can see that GitLab CI is pretty simple. Nothing more than you'll be having a runner out there, and you configure your runner. In Jenkins, we call it as a slave. As simple as that. And you can compare and you can learn it. But yeah, and I'm not talking about GitLab CI. We have Jenkins and code build in our course. But we use GitLab end to end. I mean, all the content will go with GitLab, and everything goes on GitLab. Yeah. So timings are going to be 7:30 to 7:30 to
Raghu,
yeah. Yes, sir.
Raghu, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have one question here. So what are all the things which we are going to learn in Docker and Kubernetes? I mean, what are all the things? Actually, it did not elaborate that.
So we are going to talk about Docker and its internals, plus Kubernetes CI/CD. I wrote it there, right? So CI/CD of Kubernetes is what I'm going to talk about. That means I'm going to take a service from Amazon, an AKS service, and we are going to deploy our application, which we are actually trying to deploy in our servers. We'll try to convert that into the containerized application and making the images, necessary changes, and we'll align that particular things to Kubernetes, and we'll deploy it. And that's what we'll do. Again, CI/CD means like two things will come into picture. One is how do you do the rolling update, and how do you do the blue-green deployment. That's all. But we don't go internals of Kubernetes, like so managing Kubernetes and things like that, operations of Kubernetes. Plus, we don't talk about Helm charts as well. So that we have a separate course. So in this particular given time, I cannot give a justification of teaching all those components. So yeah.
Okay.
Give a feel of what is.
And the application will be the same which we were using from the beginning with the 9 components, right?
Yeah.
And Raghu, also in the monitoring, so will there be only this one tool, New Relic? I mean, Nagios and other.
Nagios and all is will not be used in the application world. Okay, so in application world, you have to be using a cutting related technologies. And so today we are using most talking about a cloud related perspective. We cannot go with Nagios and do that. Okay, it has to be a smart tool, and that's where we're talking about one tool, which is New Relic. Probably any monitoring tool you pick it up, more or less it works in the same manner. So New Relic, why it is actually we're trying to talk about is one thing in the development in the world of applications we don't use that. So Nagios might be used in the backend teams like only for server monitoring, a legacy
Yeah.
monitoring they use Nagios and all. But you talk about the applications which is facing customers and all these things to get the insights of everything what is happening. So Nagios and all will not help you. So that's where we always go with the SaaS solutions and the paid tools, especially those are highly paid tools. To be talking about, we pay millions of dollars actually, but still we are ready to purchase those particular tools. Why? Because it's as simple as that. We need insights, and that will be provided by those tools.
So New Relic is
Raghu,
capable of both the server and application monitoring, right?
Yeah, it also can do the application monitoring. True.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Raghu.
Yeah. Yes,
Raghu, I
Vishal.
have one question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are tools like Prometheus, Grafana, Splunk, right? And they also do pretty much the same thing as you told, like the new release, right? Please
No.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. So what are you saying? Prometheus, Splunk?
Grafana, Splunk, and all the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a Splunk alternative in our course, which is widely used in market than Splunk, which is ELK. So ELK is widely used than Splunk in the market. That's where we just talk about Splunk. And second thing is Grafana and Prometheus. So in ELK you get some data basically. So how do you want to project the data? So and as ELK is actually having a component of Kibana, so we'll go with the Kibana rather than going with the Grafana. Okay, both tools does the same thing, which will help you in making a of uh, graph of whatever the data you have got it. So from that it makes some analytics. So probably Grafana can do a little bit more, but yeah. So Splunk anyhow does the job. So no. Kibana anyhow does the job. So we'll use Kibana as a part of ELK, not Grafana. And coming to the Prometheus is a metric collector. So metric collectors are probably so it's more widely used in the Kubernetes area. And as I mentioned, so we don't get into the internals of Kubernetes. So Prometheus is not being used. But anyhow, so Prometheus is a metric collector. It's not a monitoring tool, by the way. It collects the metrics about what is happening in the cluster, and the same data you can project it anywhere. Again, you want to project it to Kibana, you can do that, or you want to project it to Grafana, you can do that anywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So Kibana is like the data visualization, right?
No,
Just like
Kibana
Splunk.
is a UI. Is a UI like a Grafana.
Okay, I would like to, yeah. So, how many days will it take to cover this whole session?
So 70 to 75 days it will take almost. 70 days is a plan, but it will never complete on the plan. So more a little bit, 4 5 days a week probably. 2.5 months
Okay.
easily it will take.
Okay. I actually like
And
to.
Raghu, yeah, please go ahead.
So, Raghu, I actually, my project actually needs the ELK stack.
Mhm.
So, I would like to get in detail with that. So, I just want to know, like, how detailed, session we'll be having in ELK. Like, is it the configuration, or how do we search in the ELK? Now, a lot of things are there in ELK, right? So, how much time will take on this particular session ELK?
So we'll do setup ELK and we'll do automation of ELK, like everything end to end. How do we set up? And we talk about getting the log from all the different applications. You have Node.js applications, you have Java applications. We'll pull the logs, and even we talk about mutating and so grok filtering. Okay, all these particular things, and we'll put into
Okay.
and we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
show
Thanks,
anyhow
Raghu.
the dashboard as well. So that is there. And so the only thing probably I'll not generally usually talk about is um, what is the job? I always forget this name. So there is a cleanup job actually which you have job in ELK. Elasticsearch index cleanup. So there is a certain plugin which is available. So curator, yeah. So curator jobs is what I don't talk about. But apart from that, mostly everything will be touched in here.
Okay. And you said about Kubernetes. So Kubernetes, we are going to use ELK, right?
So if you want to pump the log, yes, you can do that.
Okay. So Kubernetes, actually, I want to know, like, I want to set the Kubernetes along with the DevOps pipeline. Like, we need to create a Docker image and present that Docker image to the Kubernetes cluster. So that's how we're going to get the project like, right?
Yes.
Uh, okay. 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 Thanks for that.
Right.
And Raghu, will we be covering any DB, any like Postgres, Mongo,
We'll be
any
using
DB?
just will be set up, but we don't talk about internals of DB. We'll use.
And which one we are going to set up?
I think this application requires MySQL and as well as Mongo both.
Okay. Okay. So we will be covering only the setup part.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Even like you take Node.js, we don't talk about Node.js development. We just consume it, right? So we'll just talk
Yes.
about operation perspective. So the DB also falls under the same way. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone, any other questions? The timings is going to be already mentioned. So evenings, we don't have any batch. So, I mean, Git is what we talk about. And on top of that, any tool is still same. You know how an email service works. It doesn't really matter whether you use Gmail or Yahoo Mail or Outlook, right? So like that. So Bitbucket, GitLab, GitHub. Okay, all these are the different vendors who provide Git as a service. We talk about anyhow with the Git, you'll understand those particular tools as well. So morely we'll be talking about is a GitLab. Okay.
And
Raghu,
we are going to, yeah. Okay. Please go ahead.
yeah, Raghu, one more question. Are we going to talk about anything like LDAP or LDAP integration with Jenkins or anything with tools? Like there are different tools, Jira Conference, into which we need to configure LDAP and AD. So is there any chance we are going to cover those things?
We can do that. I think there are already my previous set of videos of integrating is not really big deal. That's pretty simple. Once you have a AD ready, so you can just bring those particular credentials and configure it here. That's all, as simple as that. So that would not be a big deal. But each and every tool I might not be able to. So, but yeah, you can give a try on that. So if anything, I can help you on figuring out if there is something wrong. But I don't have any plan on showing on the sessions for each and every component integrating onto it.
Okay. And the scripting will be going to be only Shell or Python as well?
Shell.
Shell. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Raghu, I just have one more question. Do you have any separate session for like a data migration, migration projects, migration sessions?
As of now, I don't have any plan. I'm just making a generic DevOps. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So are we going to work on a project as we go along in the class? Yes, the answer is yes. So we are going to have a project along with the training. Yeah. Anyone? Any other questions?
Raghu, can we get an access for the previous classes or something kind of thing, or else only we can get like only the classes which we are attending?
So generally, I mean, so it goes this way. It goes in the forward request, never goes as a backward request. So in case if you want, we can work on that. That would not be a big problem. So that means what I'm trying to say is, so some people will try to attend the session, so they try to miss up sessions and they cannot actually patch up with the next sessions. People usually come to the next batch. Okay. So probably if you are in a, yeah, I understood your context now. So if you're in a hurry of learning the things, you have more time and you want to invest more time to learn. Yeah. So that will not be a big deal. We can work on that. Ticketing tool, no, we have, but we'll be working on the incidents and so yeah. incidents will be there, but not a ticketing tool like ServiceNow. Grafana is not there. Kibana is there. Kibana is there in our syllabus. Prometheus is also not there. Kubernetes is there, not OpenShift. So when come to the orchestration layer, we have so many tools. You have Kubernetes, OpenShift. So we have OpenShift, and you have Pivotal, you have DCOS, okay, Docker Swarm, okay, these many areas are there. So that's a diversified market. But anyhow, so if you look into the market stats, so definitely Kubernetes is the one which is leading in the market, and all the syllabus, all the tools which we made it is generally going to be the high demand tools in the market. That's all. Currently, what is the high demand tool, and we're just putting that in the syllabus, as simple as that. Yeah. Yes, we have Gradle builds in the applications. Yes, we have Gradle applications, and Jenkins also we have. Groovy as well we'll be consuming. So keeping shell scripting experience in mind, so we'll try to write some logic out of Groovy, but not like, so don't expect like, so going with the complete Groovy. So but Jenkins end to end is going to be Groovy. Jenkins end to end is a complete code only. We'll write it. Will not touch much of the UI. UI is only for referencing or run a job and see that output. That's all. Okay, but mostly it goes completely on the code only on the Jenkins.
So we are using Jenkins pipeline, right?
Jenkins declarative pipelines and Jenkins DSL, Jenkins DSL jobs. Two things are there. So for two different purposes, we'll talk about both. End to end is code in Jenkins.
Okay.
We do. So if you are facing any issues on the lab practice, so you're asking, and that's what the Slack is basically. So Slack, either you can make a one-to-one chat, or you can put it on the group as well. So it's up to you, whatever the compatibility you have, and it will be taken care.
And Raghu, are we going to cover any application or web server like Apache, Tomcat, Nginx, anything?
Yeah, we talk about
Nginx.
3-layer application, right? So the 3-layer means the web server is already involved.
Okay.
So Fargate is not used. Fargate. Will not integrating with K8 actually. Even Fargate is not mentioned in our course content. So yeah. So individually it is. So Kubernetes actually will not go with the deeper. That's what I'm trying to tell you here. So Kubernetes, what actually we're trying to talk about is we consume a service from cloud, and we'll try to do the CI/CD of our application into the Kubernetes. So Kubernetes, we have a in deeper course, which is a separate course which we have. So if you want, actually you need to get into that particular one. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, one question. Like in the build phase, will you gonna explain everything, like every target of, suppose if you take Maven, will you be explaining everything, every stage of building, like compile everything, or else just simply use?
Yeah, everything. So you can see, like I can probably show my previous batch how it is going. So probably you'll just understand that. So probably I can go to here and Jenkins. So you can see here pipeline jobs. Okay, some student. This is a different application. This is not the same application which I was talking about. So you'll be having these 3 pipelines. You see this, like you have so compile, code quality, and then you're done with the CI part, and then you'll be going into testing part. So testing, you'll be doing something like so either it is API, you do API testing. If it is Selenium, you do Selenium testing. So here it is, and the same way you'll be having the release phase as well. So yeah, we try to do end to end as an automation, so everything comes up mostly.
Yeah, okay, Raghu.
anything? Any other questions?
So, Raghu, one more question. Like, so now all these tools like Jenkins, Maven, everything in the real time, like in the real time setup, will you keep in different servers now for practice
Here also
in
we'll keep
cloud?
different server. We also keep in different servers only. We'll not go with a single server.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. We almost replicate the production environments in companies.
Okay. Even for these components, also like all these 9 components, will put in different servers,
Right. Talk about
and
high
we'll be
availability.
using load balancing and all.
Yeah, that's what high availability. All these things comes into picture. Auto
Okay.
scaling.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, fine. Now. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Good morning, Raghu.
Yes, I.
How can we access recorded videos?
So it will be shared to you.
Share. Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? Yeah, this video also will get shared to you. It just takes almost like 1 to 1.5 hour a day. I mean, every day after the session, it takes 1 to 1.5 hour to get your video. Okay, so this GoToMeeting will take some time for processing our video into the viewable format. They make it in some raw format, and that's get converted into a viewable format, and it needs to get uploaded, and in YouTube also will take some little time for processing. So keeping all this time in together, like 60 to 90 minutes is the expected time to get your video after the session. Yeah, you'll get everything.
Good morning, Raghu.
Yes, Ravi.
I'm Ravi. Generally, say if there is a guy with development experience of 10 years and someone wants to work on DevOps for some startup or individually, generally how much time is ideal for him to learn so that he can individually do the task? How much is for a developer who doesn't have much of knowledge of infrastructure but can understand what is infrastructure because he has been interacting with them? So how much time is ideal for him to grab this?
Ideal, I cannot say. That changes from individual to individual. So probably in Agile, if you keep in mind, Agile is basically like, as you're already a developer, Agile, I mean, every day you'll be working on a task, and you start working on the infra task, and yeah, probably from the day one, I would say you would be working,
Yeah,
right?
thanks. Yeah,
Ultimately,
yes,
yeah. So
yeah.
probably more time it might take. So probably you're
Okay,
not aware of the things. You do some searching. If
yeah.
the project manager or the scrum master is okay to give you that leviance of the time, then you're fine.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Raghu. Thank you.
Yeah, the classes will be on the daily basis, right?
Yes, Monday to Saturday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock.
Monday to Saturday, 7:30 to 9. 7:30 to 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Do you cover a Docker image regarding how?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Raghu, one more question. Like I heard, even with Ansible, we can create infrastructure also. Is that correct? Like if it is correct, like is it gonna cover?
So you need to always understand a tool basically. If you want to remove a screw, you have to use screwdriver. If you use other tool
Okay.
also, it can be done. Okay, I'm not saying it cannot be done. So more time will take, more damage will happen. You have to choose appropriate tool. Okay, keeping that simple point in mind. So which tool is
Okay.
what purpose? You have to use that way. So doesn't mean other one is not doing, but yes, yeah,
Okay. Fine.
yeah. Anyone? Any other questions? How are you going to Maven or Gradle to auto book the Docker images? What is that? Can you rephrase your question? Okay, to auto build Docker images. So we are going to do that with Jenkins, and we'll see that process. Yeah. So any other questions? So from tomorrow, we're going to have this starting the session starts with the Linux. So for a couple of days, we'll be having coping around Linux, and then we'll slowly jump onto AWS and creating the servers in AWS and things like that. I mean, earlier I used to start with creating servers and all. So probably rather than that, so we have some other way, where we can start with Linux. We'll simply get some comfortability with the Linux, and then we'll jump onto AWS and creating our own servers rather than using some other servers. So how to do that and also we'll talk about that, and we'll move on. Yeah. Any other questions? Big crowd, less questions. Okay, all right. So no questions. Probably we can hold a pause here. And
Raghu, one last question.
yeah, go ahead.
So, you told that in Jenkins, like we'll be using Groovy, right? As so
Declarative,
normally,
but somewhere we need to so some improvise the logic. So that's where you require Groovy, and that's what I mentioned. So I'll not go with so write like a Java developer or a Groovy developer. I mean, Groovy is based on Java, so not like a Java developer we make it. So but we'll keep some shell scripting knowledge in mind. We'll just try to build the logics around Groovy. That's what we do. Yeah. And that is what
okay.
generally needed. Even if you work also, will not go and write the complete. See, today you're going for, let's say you have shell scripting. Why I have Ansible? So because I want to make my life easy. So that's where the Jenkins itself, earlier they have Groovy, now they are giving declarative. So imperative versus declarative, people always think about using declarative. So Kubernetes you come, so why are we using Kubernetes? Because declarative, it's completely done declarative. It makes your life easy in deploying in making the things. Okay, so that's where declarative is what the major scope in the market, and keeping that in mind, so Jenkins also came into declarative. You open Jenkins pipe, Jenkins.io, you see as declarative only, not like Groovy generally. But in certain logics, we cannot make a declarative like possible thing. So that's where they give a flexibility of putting the Groovy as well. And if you are unable to make anything on the declarative, we'll go with the imperative and do the things. That's what we do even. Yeah.
Okay, then where can we use Python scripting here without Groovy or something? Can we use
So
Python
Python
scripting?
depends upon the project. Okay, so if you are dealing with any applications, and so if you want to write some Python code, you go with Python code. So like almost like 5 years back, I used to write thousands of lines Python code, and after that I moved the organization. Until now I never got a chance to work on Python. It depends upon the project, to be specific. Yeah.
Okay.
But shell scripting is inevitable. You cannot avoid shell scripting. Python can be avoided, but shell scripting is inevitable. So everywhere shell scripting is minimum, because you deal with the servers end of the day. So shell scripting is what the default in servers, and it is mandatory knowledge. Once you have that, any scripting language more or less it is.
Okay, Raghu, thank you.
Yeah. Or also you can put it in this way: if you're dealing with the servers and all, you go with the shell scripting. Or you deal with some applications, like let's say applications like YouTube. Now let's say I want to I daily upload the YouTube over the scripts actually. So I use Python, because Python provides YouTube has an SDK in Python, and I can simply use that particular one. I can upload the code. Okay, so like kind of thing. If you're dealing with the applications, so then you have Python is better, and whereas if you're dealing with the server, shell scripting is better. But your work which you are dealing with is also matters. That's what you do. Yeah. Any other?
Raghu, now we are dealing with even with application also, right? So in this project, in this all these components, can't
So
we use
application,
Python?
whether you are dealing or developer is dealing, that's what also you need to understand.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Great.
What is your role? That's what, like sometimes it needed, sometimes it is not really needed. So it depends upon the project to project.
Okay, yeah.
So that's where, let's say I want to write some API test cases. So probably I choose Python in that. So why Python is, it makes it more comfortable way than shell scripting, and handling is much better. So that's where we'll go with the Python and write the API, API test cases basically. Okay. So if your role is involved in the API test cases writing in an organization, then probably you choose Python to do that, because now you're dealing with an application. But until then, if there is a separate testing person actually who is dedicatedly working and who will work on the API test cases as well, it is his headache what he uses and what he writes it. You don't really bother about that. So your role is just minimize that. So it changes from arc to arc, team to team. Yes, Mani.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
If you say I'm just from a testing background, right? If I complete this course, how many years of experience do you think I can put as a working as a DevOps engineer? Say for my resume sake,
3 to
after
4
completion
easily.
of this, 3 to 4 years. And do you think you've got an Indian market with 3 to 4 years of experience can land a job in Indian market?
I'm talking about in India only, so that's fine.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that always directly proportional to how much you are learning as well. So if you are able to deliver 100% what I'm teaching, then easily you can say 3 to 4.
Thanks, Ravi. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so hopefully there are no questions. So if there anything, so you can reach out to us. Ravi, you want to say something?
No, Raghu, thank you very much for
Yeah.
taking so much patience and answering everyone. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah, thank you. So thank you everyone. So we'll meet back on tomorrow, same time, 7:30. So we'll start the sessions and we'll continue from there. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day, good night, and see you in tomorrow's session. Bye.